much that way. I mean, our financial stress in the household all the time I was growing up was, it was way up or way down. I mean, if Dad made money, everybody was celebrating. If Dad didn't, then everybody knew it, and it was pretty grim. But the stress level like this all the time. I mean, how many of you have noticed that there's a direct correlation between your stress level and your bank account balance? Has anybody but us had that experience? You guys? That's what was taking place with us. And over the years, I just thought, I don't ever want my family to go through this. So I married my high school sweetheart, right? We've got 4 fantastic kids. Matter of fact, Holly and I just celebrated our 29th wedding anniversary. My kids still like to hang out with Dad. I had my daughter in Chicago last weekend with me. I got my son Caden with me tonight. And he's decided to see New York City for the first time. He's going, wow, this is wild. So we're looking forward to that. But, you know, interesting things happen. I got married, and I needed to take care of my wife. Well, I got a job in the printing industry. I worked for a local printing company in Salt Lake City, and that's where I was making my living. I spent 13 years in the printing business. The challenge was that as I became more successful, in other words, as I made more money, I saw my family a whole lot less. I mean, it just seemed like year after year, my income would go up, but my time at home was becoming less and less and less. I mean, has anybody experienced that at all? Kind of been there, done that, bought a t-shirt. You know, I had my whole closet full of them. I was looking for a wardrobe change. And for me, I thought, there's got to be a better way. Well, it was about that time that I had a friend of mine come along. And he said, Bob, let's go to lunch. I said, great, let's go to lunch. So we did. You know what was interesting? He had motive during that lunch. He decided to take the opportunity to kind of slap me around a little bit verbally. And he said to me, he says, I don't understand you. I said, what don't you understand? He says, I think you got a lot of talent. I think you got a lot of ability, but I don't understand why you're playing life small. How come you're working for other people when you're working for yourself? I mean, I didn't want to admit it, but the idea hit me. It's because nobody ever taught me how to work for myself. During that lunch, we shared some things back and forth, and then he gave me a little book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. How many of you have read that book? For you, man, it's a game changer. It was the first time in my life I'd ever been really exposed to a different way of thinking. I mean, really, a positive way of looking at the world and realizing that wealth is no creator or no respecter of persons. That anybody can create it if they learn the principles of success and they follow those things. It was the first time that idea had really been presented to me. But it was a game changer for me, because it was really through reading that book and through the personal development that I went through afterwards that I realized I could do a whole lot more than work for somebody else. Because after all, I mean, how many of you think you're going to get rich working for somebody else? Doesn't happen, right? Okay, on the flip side of that, how many of you believe you can help your employer become very wealthy working for them?
Yes.
Right? I decided it was time to turn it around. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I was going to do something. I can tell you how blessed I've been since that time. And it hasn't always been easy. Listen, being an entrepreneur, you're going to have some ups and downs, but at least you get to call the shots. And I'll tell you the great thing about being the boss, you are the last one fired. It really does. So for me, I set off in this wonderful world of being an entrepreneur. Since that day to this day, I've been very fortunate. You know, I've had some businesses that haven't done that well, but I've had a lot of businesses that have done extremely well. I've created dozens of different companies. Those companies have created hundreds of millions of dollars in business. My real estate company over 8 years did 2,700 transactions. That's not bad, right? Yeah, wholesale deals. My educational company prior to Renatus, we trained tens of thousands of students all across the United States. We got our business, our sales up to about $70 million a year. It was really wild. I remember a little quote from Napoleon Hill. I've never forgotten it, and I think about it often. He quoted in the book, he said, when riches begin to come, they come so quickly and in such great abundance that one wonders where they've been hiding during all those lean years, right? I'll never forget my first $1 million year. 7-figure income, my first $1 million year. And I went, you know what's interesting about it? I wasn't doing anything different than I did the year before, the year before, the year before that. All of a sudden it just showed up. I remember my first $1 million month. That was a good month. It really was. I remember my first $1 million day. Wow. Now I wish I could say I've had $1 million days every day. I haven't. I remember my first $1 million day, and that was mind-blowing. The interesting thing about it, though, for me, was that I really hadn't changed what I was doing. I changed who I was. You know, Hugh wanted me to come up here and talk a little bit about the education. I can tell you the reason why I created this company is I believe in what we're doing. I believe in the entrepreneurial spirit. I believe in free enterprise. I believe in capitalism. I believe that we each have an opportunity to go out there and make big things happen. I believe that we're all born equal with the opportunity to become unequal. Right? And then, once we have exercised our fiduciary responsibility to become successful, it's time for us to lift others and make a difference. That's what it's all about. That's where you really get the reward. It is. The reward for me is being able to come to a market like this and see the success stories our education has created. Now listen, I'm not the smartest tool in the shed. I mean, I'm not. But what I have done is I've surrounded myself with some brilliant individuals. I didn't want the old status quo education system. I just didn't. I didn't want to follow the lead of so many seminar companies out there because they're just traveling road shows. And you know who they are. They come into town, they advertise, they say, come on down, we're going to have a 2-hour conversation, and then they sell you into their 3-day boot camp, and then their 3-day boot camp's nothing more than a 3-day infomercial for their 5-day boot camp, or their 12-day program, or their whatever it might be, right? I wanted a program that was taught by investors, not by professional salespeople in the front of the room. I mean, and that's what I did. I hired a PhD in education, Dr. Paul Rapicki. He was down in San Diego, and he's a friend of mine. He understood the process of what we call instructional systems design. The ISD process is what every major college and university across the country uses to build and construct their curriculum paths. He taught us about ISD, and then we worked together with him to create our curriculum. We actually pulled together subject matter experts, professional investors, and said, come on in here, we want to talk to you, we want you to help us, along with building this curriculum and making things happen. We went out to the marketplace and we found the best investors that we could find, not trainers, not salespeople, the best investors, individuals who were wildly successful at what they did. And then we said, we would like you to teach our students. Now, some of them were a little rough. We needed to teach them how to teach, right? As we were building our classes and making things happen. But today, we've got 33 different full-day classes, 17 of the best instructors in the country, individuals who do real estate day in and day out. That's what they do for a living, right? And I feel very fortunate to have them as our core group, because they have helped to develop an educational system that I truly believe is second to none. Now, I can go on and on and on about each and every one of them. The only way for you to really get to know them is to meet them. The other thing we've done is that we've created our classes so that they're accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, online. Why online? Because it was the only way that I really could figure out how to make the economic model work. What I say by that is, how do we make sure that our educational systems are deliverable to everybody without them constantly having to travel back and forth between Centerville, Utah, and wherever they live on a regular basis? And how could we make this thing work so that our education was affordable? So that individuals didn't have to, go mortgage their house or the family farm to be able to do it. We've got competitors in the marketplace that charge $50,000 and $60,000 and $70,000 and $80,000 for what we charge a fraction of that for, because of our model. I said, how do we make sure the students are taken care of so that they're not just left to themselves? Because let's face it, come on, how many of you, when you're kind of left to yourself, sometimes it's a little tough to take the action you know is necessary. Have you been there? I've been there. Come on, man. They equate it to a gym membership. Think about it. I mean, I can remember years ago, I went and got myself a personal trainer. Why did I get a personal trainer? Why did I schedule 3 times a week? Because I had an appointment with somebody. I knew I'd show up. And then I knew that they'd kick my butt. I'd have somebody to blame for my sore body every day, right? But man, I got results. I remember a year later after going through that process, girl, I looked in the mirror one day, I thought, holy smokes. If I had a tan, I'd look good. And I remember getting injured and having to lay off for a little while after I let my trainer go. And I thought, I'll just do this at home. It wasn't that long before I developed what we call a Dunlap disease. Where your belly done laps over your belly. We need to work as a team. You need folks in the community to help you, to guide you, to encourage you. You know how encouraging it is for folks to come to these meetings? Get to hang out with Hugh Zaretsky and the rest of his team here in New York City. Talk about the deals they're doing, talk about the success they're realizing. All of a sudden it boosts your level of confidence. And while you're boosting your level of confidence, you're also boosting your level of competency because you're going through the educational system. It's the best of both worlds. What we have is unlike anything else out there. I'm really proud of it. And what we're doing across the country, groups like this, is we're transforming lives. Now, does that mean that every life is transformed? No. It depends on the individual. Whether or not they can take what we have and really run with it. We can't help those who do not want to be helped. But for those individuals who really want to make something of themselves, this is the right group. It's the right educational system. We have the tools. We have the program. We've got the local support. We've got it all. You just got to plug in, do the work, and enjoy the benefits. Now that might be kind of a simplistic explanation of our program, but that really is what it's all about. You know, I appreciate the opportunity to take just a few minutes, man, but I'll tell you what, this guy, I can't say enough good things about Hugh Zaretsky. Hugh is a seasoned investor. He's not one of the guys, he's not one of the students who came through the ranks in our company. You know, I mean, you saw a bunch of them on the board. Hugh was a seasoned investor before he got involved with us in Renatus. I'm thrilled that he's a part of our team because Hugh is also very much cause and mission oriented. He loves to see the lights come on. He loves to create the success stories. And I'm thrilled that he's here. And I'll tell you the other thing too. This guy right here, being, you know, a New York native, is one of the most amazing, mind-blowing tour guides you've ever seen. He is. He has filled his mind with so many useless items, little nuggets about this area that when I've come out here with my kids in the past and he's taken us around the city, oh my goodness, man, it's worth the price of admission. So now he's an incredible real estate investor and a fantastic leader and mentor in Renatus. But if you ever get him around the city, he can tell you things about different areas that you'll just go, how do you know that? I haven't verified any of it. But